The skies look gray to me, and trouble begins to brew. Whenever the wintry winds become too strong, I concentrate on you. When fortune cries nay, nay to me, and people declare you're through, whenever the blues become my only song, I concentrate on you, on your smile so sweet, so tender. When at first my kiss you decline, on the light in your eyes when you surrender, and once again our arms intertwine. And so when wise men say to me that love's young dream never comes true, to prove that even wise men can be wrong, I concentrate on you. On your smile so sweet, so tender, when at first my kiss you decline, on the light in your eyes when you surrender, and once again our arms intertwine. And so when wise men say to me that love's young dream never comes true, to prove that even wise men can be wrong, I concentrate on you.
That was Cole Porter's I Concentrate on You, or our arrangement of it. What does the Elephant Room mean to me? Oof. I don't know if you got enough time to hear me blathering on about it, so I'll try to be brief, but the Elephant Room is home. It's home for a lot of reasons. It's a musical home. It's a relationship home. It's a community home. It's just home. That's, one word. It's home. And it has been, since I first moved to the area in the late 90s. A lot has changed with me over the last 25 years, but nothing changes with the Elephant Room. It's always been and will always be the place. It's the hang. It's where all the cats go. I'm thinking about it. Spent more than half of my life hanging out at the Elephant Room, and bigger than that, I've spent my entire the entirety of my musical career. I've been hanging out at the Elephant Room, and it all started for me, just going and checking out all the great musicians that Austin had back in the day and still has. But back then, I would come to the Elephant Room to see, you know, Tony Campise and John Fremgen and Jeff Helmer and Mitch Watkins and Ephraim Owens and Elias Hoslanger, James Polk, all these just ridiculous musicians that in my early years I looked up to them and I thought, man, one day I want to do what they're doing. And you know, the meeting point for all really, I think for all musicians in Austin, and everybody just knows it. It's kind of the unspoken thing. The Monday night jam that's been going on since the Elephant Room opened is something really special, because you get to meet these guys that are, you know, playing these big shows. You know, they're right there, and you get to jam with them. And when you're a young musician learning tunes and learning stage etiquette and learning the hang and learning how to vibe and not to vibe and just learning all about this music, there's nothing that has been more influential in my life than that jam session. And you know, it's every Monday, and I think for probably 10 years, maybe longer, I was there almost every single Monday, meeting the young guys and meeting the old Austin guys. It was just a great thing for musical growth, for relationships, for friendships, all of these things. And yeah, Elephant Room is just amazing for that. I did get to meet quite a few wonderful people that, you know, we've lost some of them. Some of them are still around. There's one in particular that, you know, from the first time I stepped into the Elephant Room, you know, the first guy you got to meet is Mike Mordecai. Mike Mordecai runs the jam. And I remember the first time I met him, I was super nervous. I'd like to sit in at the jam, and always so welcoming. That's another just wonderful thing about the Elephant Room, specifically about the jam too. Even if you were just cutting your teeth and learning how to play, Mike Mordecai was always just very welcoming, and gave you a chance to get up there and show if you were ready or if you weren't. But there was another gentleman that was there the first time I went to the Elephant Room, and that was a man named John Blondell. And anyone in Austin certainly knows who John Blondell is. John has become one of my closest friends. He's a great musician, that's a given, but he's also just one of the best human beings that I know. There's a little bit of a gruff exterior that some folks have to get through that first layer, but once you get through that first layer, John Blondell is just one of my favorite people in the world. And the guys and I decided to write a tune to honor our good friend John Blondell, and we kind of in a weird way paying homage to In Walked Horace and In Walked Bud and some of these other great jazz standards. We decided to write our own jazz standard. So here is In Walked Blondie.
I love Paris in the springtime, and I love Paris in the fall. I love Paris in the winter when it drizzles, and I love Paris in the summertime when it sizzles. I love Paris every moment, every moment of the year. I love Paris. Why do I love Paris? Because my baby is there. Paris in the springtime. And I love Paris in the fall. I love Paris in the winter when it drizzles. And I love Paris in the summer when it sizzles. I love Paris every moment, every moment of the year. I love Paris. Why, oh, why do I love Paris? Because my baby is there. Because my baby is there. Because my baby is there.
That was "I Love Paris" also by Cole Porter. In full disclosure, I've yet to go to Paris. It's certainly one of the places that I want to go for the food, for the sights, for all of the things everybody goes to Paris for. And whenever we perform this song, I always feel a little bit guilty because I'm saying I love Paris in the springtime, and I've never been. So what I do to kind of mentally prepare myself for a performance when we do this is I think about Austin, and I don't say I love Austin. I don't want to take away from what Cole Porter did, but I definitely love Austin. Austin has just been wonderful to me. I've been able to make an actual living as a jazz musician in this town, and for years, probably 20 years. I played on, I always joke, but I played the steak and lobster circuit. Certainly not the most glamorous places to play, but it's been very good to me. For 14 years, we were the house band at Eddie V's, and we were the house band at Three Forks, and we worked McCormick and Schmick's and Z Tejas, and basically anywhere where there's jazz and lobster and steak, that's where we were. We did play the Elephant Room, and we got to play jazz clubs, all over Texas and Louisiana and some other parts of the country. But really, the core of my income was from the steak and lobster circuit, and I don't regret it for a second. Then my son Parker was born, and I just decided that I didn't want to be driving to Houston every Tuesday to play Eddie V's in City Center, and then driving to Dallas on Thursdays, and on the weekends we're playing weddings and corporate events. When my son was born, I wanted to make sure that I had as much time with him as I possibly could. So in my infinite wisdom, I decided that a better alternative would just be to open up my own jazz club. We've already got the Elephant Room, which we all love, but I didn't think this was going to ever compete with the Elephant Room. I just thought Austin's growing, and whatever I did was going to complement the Elephant Room. And one thing that I just am absolutely thrilled about is, since from the moment I said I was going to open up a club to this very day, my biggest supporter has been, JP and the folks at the Elephant Room. I guess they know I was never going to be their competition, but they have been my biggest supporters, and it's wonderful that I'm in a town where, two competing jazz clubs have a great relationship, and they really try to complement one another. My wife agreed that this was an absolutely insane thing to do, but she was going to support me. And so I did it. I designed and built a pretty nice little jazz club here in Austin. And I've just been, it's been a wonderful, 3 years. And in the short time that we've been open, we've had some just really memorable nights. And, I had the Count Basie Orchestra play, and, Wynton Marsalis shared the stage with me. It was just unreal, just some great things. But so now I've got my own jazz club named Parker Jazz Club, and It still hasn't changed anything. We've just been doing the early parts of the night, so we're normally done, at the club about 11:30, and I still end up going to the elephant room. I've got my own club, but we always end up going back to the elephant room. And a lot of the cats from the elephant room during their break, they'll come over and check out what's happening at Parker. It's just, again, this town is awesome. I truly do love Austin. And the people that I've met and that I've had a chance to work with, I can't describe how blessed I am to have such wonderful friends and to be surrounded by so many great musicians. One musician in particular is my piano player, Ryan Davis. We've been playing music together since 1997. If I've ever needed a piano player, he was always the guy. And we've worked together in jazz bands and funk bands and country bands and ska bands and all of this other. But Ryan has been, one of these relationships that has been just really has grown over the past, 25 years. And so this next tune is going to feature Ryan Davis Trio with another great Cole Porter song. This is Love for Sale. That was Emily by Johnny Mandel and Johnny Mercer. A great tune that I first learned hanging out at the Elephant Room, listening to Tony Campise play. Talking about Tony, yeah, I definitely don't. We don't have enough time for me to say everything I can about that man. Tony Campisi was certainly my hero from the minute I got to Austin. I sought him out and would go see him every chance I could. Just a ridiculous musician, legendary, and I don't use that term lightly. And it's not because of what he did with Stan Kenton or any of those things. It's just he was one of a kind. And I tried for years and years to get lessons with him, and Tony was a little strange about that sometimes. And he didn't take on a lot of students. I know a lot of the guys in town over the years were able to get some lessons with him. And, it was pretty far into my musical career. And it's a short, I don't have a huge musical career thus far. I've been doing it about 25 years, but a little more than halfway through, I beat him down. I showed up at the Elephant Room every Tuesday. I'd show up at his brunch gigs at Manuel's. I'd show up everywhere and say, Tony, I want to take lessons with you. I want to take lessons with you. And finally, one day he said, all right, I'll give you a lesson. So I went over to his house and we met and we had one lesson and, told me all the stuff that I needed to work on. And all I wanted to do was study with him to get that big, beautiful tenor saxophone sound that only Tony has. And so I show up for my lesson and he's like, all right, we're going to start working on flute stuff. So as shocking as that was, I just was going to take it with a grain of salt. He said, learn flute. So that's what we started. So we had our first lesson and he gave me a ton of stuff to do. And, a week later I called him and said, I'm ready for my next lesson. And he looked at me and said, you're ready? And I said, yeah, I'm ready. I practiced everything he gave me, and I showed up a week later, and I didn't play everything perfectly, but I did all right. And I guess I impressed him enough to say, for him to say, yeah, you can study with me. So we started once a week, and at the time I was living by myself and just working at restaurants at night, practicing all day, and then late in the afternoon I'd meet up with Tony, and it went from once a week to twice a week to 3 times a week. And before I knew it, I wasn't taking lessons anymore. We were just hanging out and he was just teaching me. He was teaching me about music. He was teaching me about life. And he was telling me all these great stories. And it was probably about a month in, he wouldn't take my money anymore for these lessons. And so we had this game going for about 6 months where I'd say, oh, Tony, I got to go to the bathroom. And I'd sneak around his house and I'd hide money in his house. And then when I got back home, I'd call him and say, all right, my lesson money it's in the refrigerator underneath the butter. And we played that game for a long time. And, for almost, I guess it's not almost, it was over 5 years. I got to study with Tony. And like I said, it started once a week and then ended up being, we hung out pretty much every day. And we'd hang out, and then he'd go to his gig, and I'd go to my gig, and it was a great time. And I went back to school, and I was going to finish my jazz degree at Texas State, and I had Tony come down for my senior recital, and he was my special guest, and it was great. I got to have Tony on my senior recital. It was wonderful, and we got to play together. He'd come sit down on my gigs and I'd come sit in on his gigs. I think he liked it because, Beto and the Fairlanes would play, these big shows at the Elephant Room, and Tony loved it when I would show up because that would mean he could drink and he could get good and drunk because he knew that if he got too bad off, I was there. And I know no less than 3 times that last set at the Elephant Room, I filled in for Tony because he wasn't, he didn't have all his capacities at that point. Just a great time for 5 years, really studying with him. And then, the last year, the last year, I don't want to say it was more of a, that last year wasn't really a teacher-student anything anymore. That last year was just, we were just buds, and he was like my surrogate father. We'd hang out, we'd go have lunch together and talk about music. And if he needed to go to the doctor, I'd take him. If I needed to go to the doctor, he'd take me. It was a great time. And then, he had his accident down at the Texas Jazz Festival in Corpus. And, when it happened, I was actually playing a wedding. I remember specifically I was singing. Everybody was kung fu fighting at this this private event in Houston, and I got the call, and so I got the guys back home, and I headed down to Corpus, and I was down there for I think it was 3 weeks, I guess, while he was still down at the hospital in Corpus Christi. And anyway, it was rough when we lost Tony. It was very rough when we lost Tony, for not just for me, but for the Austin community, for just so many people. And no one that knew Tony didn't love him. He was larger than life. His love was larger than life. The energy he brought on stage, the energy he had, period. Whether you're meeting him at a gas station or watching him on stage, he was truly just one of the most remarkable human beings and performers and musicians I've ever met. And one of the things I remember fondly was I would go and just watch him play all the time. No one played saxophone like him. No one played flute like him. And he would play his bass flute, and there was one tune in particular that he would play, and it would bring me to tears every time he played it. There's a beautiful tune. We're going to play it for you in just a second, but it was a gorgeous tune with a beautiful melody. But something about Tony playing that flute just got me every time. And I do remember that when I did start studying with him, one of the first things I said was, I want to learn that tune. It's gorgeous, and it's Cy Coleman, it's a great tune. And so we did. He taught me that tune, as well as Emily that you just heard. And when Tony did pass, his family left me everything. They left me all his horns. They left me his big band library. They left me everything. And we ended up, the Austin community. We all came together, and a lot of cats bought. We sold most everything to help raise money for the family for funeral costs. I always joke about it. It's only half joking, but most musicians don't have a retirement plan or plans for when they go, and so we were able to, with a lot of help from the community, raise enough money to deal with all the funeral expenses and all of this other. But one instrument that I was never going to sell was that bass flute that he would play. And, I did open my club, and it's a standing rule that any night that I play at the club, I play on his bass flute, to honor him, to honor my teacher, and to honor my friend. And, so we're gonna play that tune for you now. This tune means just, I can't explain how much this tune means to me, not just because it's a beautiful tune. The melody is beautiful. It's called With Every Breath I Take. It's by Cy Coleman. It's from a musical from the 80s called City of Angels. But the first line of the lyric is, "There's not a morning that I open up my eyes and find I haven't dreamt of you." And I just feel that it certainly applies to this. So here is With Every Breath I Take by Cy Coleman, and I'll be playing on Tony's bass flute.